do something fun today? This is a little bit off the beaten path that we've set around here, including the whole Quarterback Monday thing. Not today, not this week. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. I hope you'll check those out as well. The NFL draft is coming up in 10 days. And if we're all being honest with each other, we have no earthly idea what the Steelers are going to look like, what the vibe around them is going to feel like after those 10 days, or really, to be more complete, since the draft is a 3-day event, we'll say 12 days. There's going to be a first-round pick. There's going to be a quarterback. There's going to be a running back. There's going to be, I don't know which round, but I'm still presuming the first round, the next Cam Hayward or somebody very much worthwhile on the defensive interior. And there also might be, heaven forbid, a veteran quarterback signed or definitively not signed. So what I want to do today, I want to just pull out a big, giant, symbolic bookmark and put it right here, Monday, April 14. This is what I think of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is what I think about them from the quarterback standpoint. This is what I think about them from the caliber of their draft standpoint. This is what I think of them in terms of my feelings about Mike Tomlin and how hopeless this all feels, since you're just going to be running back the same concepts with the same coach. This is how I feel about our football team versus the other three in the AFC North, never mind the conference as a whole. This is how I feel about this defense. It's defined for me by the 299 yards that the Ravens steamrollered over us to get. Just take it all in. Whatever that happens to be for you, plant a flag there. Remember where you were, because my goodness, so much is going to change in short order. I'm not suggesting it'll change for the better. There's any number of events that could occur that could make it change for the worse, depending on the perspective. But what a time this is about to be. And I say that mostly from the prism, and I feel like this is a fair stance to hold, that the nation's down, man. The nation is down. That's not me being down. That's not me being a bummer about whether it's the head coach or Aaron Rodgers or whatever. That's you in general. Not everybody, obviously, but for the most part, that's you. Because you're listening right now to someone who is first person engaged with the comments that are left everywhere, whether it's our site, dkpittsburghsports.com, whether it's YouTube, Spotify now has comments. I read all of them, every single one of them. I also talk to people constantly, conversations about sports, wherever it is that I go or when they come into our downtown Pittsburgh headquarters. People are fed up, and that's with DK Metcalf in hand. They are fed up. So, still sticking with me here? All right. Remember, this is all just BS here. We're just faking our way through this. What would be, for you, the optimal way that these 10 days would play out? A way that would have you believing. The only one I'm going to take off of your list is Tomlin being fired. So don't be a weirdo about this. Tomlin's not getting fired. If he does get fired ever, it's not going to be in the next 10 days. So just scratch that one off. Stop trying to be funny. It has to be something that's plausible. Now, I'm going to give you mine. It doesn't mean that I'm right and everybody else is wrong. Whatever, just means these are mine, okay? And I'm going to start where you knew I would start, which is that Rodgers decides to hang it up. I'm not going to belabor the point. I just don't have any need for that scenario. Okay, so that's out of the way. The Steelers leave open the possibility that they're going to be looking at other veterans that are out there. There aren't any other veterans out there, and they're not going to trade for Kirk Cousins. So what they know heading into the draft is that they've got Mason Rudolph, and they now want to add not one, but possibly two quarterbacks. I am totally into this, okay? At least one of those has to be somebody who can really play, not just somebody you take as some sort of late round prayer. Somebody who can really play, but I'm saying to the extent that they could come into Latrobe and push Rudolph immediately. Not down the road, not after a whole bunch of project work, but come in right away and threaten to start. Doesn't mean you expect it, but it's on the list. And yes, I'm finding a way to get that done utilizing my first round pick, even if that means moving around a little bit to get somebody. I've been saying all along, the draft isn't just what the experts mock it up as being. The draft is what your scouts tell you after they've outscouted everybody else. So go ahead and win that process. And you do, in fact, have a quarterback competition, and you do, in fact, have a door wide open for a youngster. From there, I'm doing what Omar Khan said at the NFL annual meeting in Palm Beach, Florida, that he'd like to do, which is I'm finding a way to get back into the second round. And when I get into that second round, I am going for defensive line interior. I understand that all the sexiest names are going to be gone. I also understand that there's depth to the class. You can see some breakdowns that have the DTs making it 9 deep through 2 rounds. So you're going to have somebody, if that's the way you want to go. The deepest position in the draft is running back. I'm not in the business of making predictions, but I have been told from inside the Steelers that they are going to get a running back. They could make that happen in the second round. One way or another, I really believe this, you're going to see all 3 of those positions addressed, and prominently so in this draft. Quarterback, defensive interior, running back. All of this would change my whole feeling about the Steelers heading into 2025. If I wanted to get crazy greedy, I would call the Raiders and just say, look, can we just have Landon Roberts back? We had no idea what we were doing. We just completely blew it. But then I'm running up the score a little bit. Let me hear from you in comments. Wherever it is that you happen to hear this program, just leave comments there. Believe me, I'll find them. I'm pretty good at this. And we'll talk about some of them tomorrow when we come back with this episode of J1Q. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Casey, who says, DK, I'm excited to see Mason Rudolph back in a Steelers uniform. Doesn't he now have more new weapons to use that could improve him? And we've yet to see the draft. He also has an offensive coordinator who isn't an idiot. Well, clarifying something here first, Matt Canada had been fired by the time Mason took over. You might be misremembering that a little bit. Eddie Faulkner had taken over as OC, and actually the improvement in that specific area was immediately visible, I thought. Now, to the team that's around him, you'd have a really, really, really hard time, Casey, convincing anybody that the 2025 offense won't have way more weapons around him than what we saw him succeeding with at that time. The offensive line unto itself, just with Zach Frazier at center, with Isaac Seumalo at left guard. I don't know if you're going to be better at right guard. James Daniels was pretty good. We don't know what Broderick Jones is going to bring you at left tackle. We honestly don't know about Troy Fautanu, but you'd like to think that in what's really year 3 for that group, or the bulk of that group, that progress is finally going to be made. Also remember that the line loved blocking for Mason because he holds the pocket, steps up when he needs to. They knew where he was. The running backs might make for the best debate within this. Jaylen Warren in that game against the Bills, the 31-17 loss, he carried only 8 times, but for 38 yards. He had a 4.8 average. And of course, Mike Tomlin decided to give the ball to Najee Harris even more because that's just how that went. Well, Najee won't be around. So if Tomlin wants Najee to run the ball more than Warren, he's going to have to call out to Los Angeles. Instead, you're going to have Kenneth Gainwell and the draft pick. Is that going to be better than Najee? I don't know. I don't think we can say that at this stage. The tight ends are mostly the same. Pat Freiermuth in that game was the Steelers' top receiver with 76 yards on 5 catches, targeted 8 times. Darnell Washington was on the team, had no catches on 1 target. Darnell's become at least a little bit bigger a part of the offense than he was then. But the difference is wide receiver. And it's wide receiver by a mile. The obvious here is that DK Metcalf is in the house, which really transforms the whole room because it bumps everybody, including George Pickens, a notch down on the depth chart. That's good. You like that. You like to have guys being knocked down. George, by the way, was targeted 11 times by Mason in that game in Orchard Park. Only caught 5 of those for 50 yards. Wasn't at his worst, but also wasn't at his best. Also in that game, Deontay Johnson had 4 catches for 48 yards. Calvin Austin, who will be the new number 3 wide receiver, had a catch, just one, but it was for a 7-yard touchdown. Ran a really nice route, too, I remember, to get himself a little bit open over the middle. Mason threaded the needle. That, at the time, was a nice step forward for Cal. Is what they'll have now a better offense than what they had then? Yes, unquestionably. It could become incrementally better depending on the running back they end up drafting. And I'm going to throw this out there again because I know where the quarterback conversations always go. It's who do we have that can walk into a stadium and take down Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? The answer to that question really shouldn't be your quarterback. It should be TJ Watt. And the answer from there is that your offense would be efficient enough, belligerent enough, consistent enough that it can stay on the field, that it can score touchdowns, but also chew up some clock. Because not even the greatest quarterbacks in history have found a way to score while standing on the sideline. If you're a believer that Mason can run an offense like that, then you're going to appreciate all these other names that I just threw into it. If you're not a believer, and I respect that, then nothing that I say is going to convince you otherwise. You're just going to keep hoping that some Mahomes or Allen or whoever is just going to fall magically from the sky. And that's going to be a pretty frustrating experience for you. I appreciate the question, Casey. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. Don't forget, we have a double shot coming up today as well. That's at 4 p.m. Eastern on every platform imaginable, headlined by YouTube. See you then.